A very good morning to all the participants. I, on
Good
behalf of
morning,
management,
Ji.
principal, and faculty of Shanti Devi Arya Mahila College, Dinanagar, welcomes you all on the second day of our faculty development program on the topic imparting soft skills and life skills for success. Dear participants, I don't think any webinar or FDP can be successful without the cooperation of our dear participants. And I am extremely thankful to you for your patient hearing yesterday. And I hope you will cooperate with us. You will not unmute yourself during the whole session in the next 4 days or 5 days also. Thanks for your cooperation, and we expect the same cooperation for the next days also. Dear participants, our today's resource person, as per our schedule, is Anshu Duaji, but unfortunately, she is running high fever, and in this pandemic times, we think it humane to let her take rest for today. But don't be panic. Will not disappoint you. We have amongst us an equally competent, intelligent, and seasoned academician. You know her well. as she was the moderator in yesterday's session, and our IQAC coordinator, Dr. Manita Kahloji. Let me introduce her to you all. So, the resource person of the day is Dr. Manita Kahlo. She is working as an associate professor and is heading English department at Shanti Devi Arya Mahila College, Dinanagar, district Gurdaspur. She is also IQAC coordinator of our college, and all activities of our college are conducted under her watchful eyes. She has done her MA, MPhil, PhD in English literature, all from Punjab University, Chandigarh. She teaches MA students and has guided students for their MPhil research. Her areas of interest are American fiction, women and gender studies, Indian writing in English, and popular culture. On the lighter side, she loves music and reading and has to read daily or else she can't sleep. In the college, it has always been a pleasure to listen to her valuable talks. Now I request our resource person of the day, Dr. Manita Kapoji, to please continue with her valuable talk. Over to you, ma'am. I welcome Madam Dr. Manita Kahlo for her talk.
Good morning to all. Thank you so much, Mrs. Neenu Sharma, for such a wonderful introduction. I must say it seems very nice to hear such lovely words from your own colleagues. Thank you so much. First of all, apologies. Our resource person for the day, Mrs. Anshu Dua, could not make it as she's running high fever. But rather than keeping you all disappointed, I have today for you an important component of soft skills called leadership skills. Now that you all are here with me, and before I actually begin on my journey of taking you on this important facet of soft skills or leadership skills, I would request you all to just take a minute and use your chat box. First, please ponder over the question for about 10 seconds and then write your answers in the chat box. Please let me know who has been the most influential leader that you can think of. Any influential leader globally or any other else, so that we can first I can have a quick look at your answers and then we shall carry this forward. Please use the chat box. We've had Narendra Modi's name come up. We have Mr. Barack Obama, Bhagat Singh ji, again Mr. Modi, Mr. Gandhi, my mother, that's so wonderful. Our former APJ Abdul Kalam ji, Mr. Modi, a teacher, that's wonderful. Shashi Tharoor, definitely for his use of language. Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, Bhagat Singh. Just a few more and then I'll begin. Anybody on the platform, it really doesn't make a difference. Anybody whom you consider to be a leader. Somebody is a sports enthusiast here. We have Kapil Dev and Mahendra Singh Dhoni. Nelson Mandela, wonderful. Obama for soberness. Jayapal Reddy, an ex-MP. Martin Luther King. That's really, really wonderful. Donald Trump. I wonder how many will agree with you, but yes, he is a leader nevertheless, and heading one of the most powerful. Our eternal Guru, says Gurpreet Kaur. Wonderful. Indira Gandhi. Sadhguruji. I presume this is Isha Foundation, Sadhguruji. Swami Vivekanand. Jhansi Ki Rani. Going back to history. All right. Thank you all. Thank you so much. Wonderful responses. Thank you. Shri Venkaiah Naduji, Vice President of India, Jai Lalita, Sadhguruji, Shashi Tharoor. Wonderful. It's absolutely lovely to know that these are your leaders. Now, the reason why I asked you was, who are the readers? Oh, Rupinder Kaur has, I must say, taken my leader for all times. That is Mother Teresa. I was going to talk about Mother Teresa. Rupinder, you've hit the nail on the head. For me. Otherwise, role models and leaders can be anybody. Shri Guru Gobind Singh Ji, wonderful. You all have given me your leaders. I have another question to ask you. You pondered and then you wrote. Why did you select them? What were the reasons that you selected them? Somebody has written every child. Child is the father of mankind. So these leaders are somebody who have influenced us. Why? Probably because of their philanthropic work, because of their entrepreneurial skill, because of the way they influence society, both at a global platform or maybe at a local platform. Leadership is no easy task. I will spare just a moment to talk about these leaders that you have talked about. First, we will go back to the Gurus. Guru Gobind Singh Ji, a stellar character. Apart from his religious and spiritual significance in everybody's life, what about his as a role model? Where does he stand? We emulate him. We look up to him for his sagaciousness, his wisdom, his foresight. He was a visionary. He was a commander par excellence. I thought some of you would also write another person like this, but you did not. I'll come back to you in a little while. Coming here forward then, what else do we have? You have all mentioned leaders. Coming to history, Jhansi Ki Rani. Again, for her courage, her bravery, her valor, the way she led everybody, who refused to be cowed down in front of the British. These are the qualities that we imbibe for. Barack Obama, the most influential man, his soberness, his style of speaking, his immense influence over his country. Donald Trump, you have written. Coming back to our own nation, Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi, his rise from adversity to where he sits today at the helm of affairs, the decisions that he takes, some popular, some not so popular, and yet he is a global leader. Many of you have not written, but I think that when you write about Maharaja Ranjit Singh, Swami Vivekanand, all, I must say, absolutely wonderful leaders. Why have you talked about them? At a local level, you talk about your MP, you talk about Shashi Tharoor, you talk about Jai Lalita. Are they charismatic leaders? They have charisma. They can totally enrapture you in the way that they have. Now, why are we here today? We are supposed to be having an FDP on soft skills. Then why are we talking about prominent leaders? These leaders, where they are sitting, is because of the qualities that they personify, the qualities that are synonymous with their character. You talk about Narayan Murthy, you talk about Bill Gates, you talk about Sundar Pichai, you talk about Mark Zuckerberg, you talk about Larry Page. They're all synonymous with IT. You talk about Einstein, the way he redefined the laws of gravity. You talk about Stephen Hawking, the physicist, the man who, despite his disability, never gave up. All these features are there. But today, our focus is not on these leaders. Our focus is on how to imbibe the leadership qualities within oneself. Each one of us has leadership qualities latent within all of us. Why are they not brought out to the surface? What is it that somehow stops us from getting them forward? And for that today, I am going to present to you my take on leadership qualities which are present in each one of us, but somehow we do not act upon them and we hesitate to use them. So, the topic for today is the leadership qualities which each one of us as a soft skill needs to imbibe and use in our soft skills. Just give me a minute, please, while I share my screen with you. Just a second more while I share my PPT, some issues in sharing the PPT. Till then, I'll continue to speak with all of you and come here. Is the audio clear today? We had a few messages yesterday that the audio was not clear. I'm sorry for the hitch, if any, yesterday, but essentially it is a humble request that do not unmute yourself and do not present yourself. When you do both of these, it leads to problems at our end. Our effort is always to bring to you clarity, but sometimes we are not successful. While I share my PPT, another question for you all to ponder is that how many of you would like to take up leadership roles, and have they been offered to you? Leadership role does not mean usurping the seat of the present leader who is sitting on the chair, but coming up with small acts of leadership. Have any one of you done that? Have you been given an opportunity? Have you risen to the opportunity? Or have you lagged behind even when you had everything going for you? All right, wonderful. We are having responses that say that yes, lots of responsibilities come in with leadership and you get the opportunity. Yes, yes. So it's a huge yes. So that means all of you are open to taking up tasks of leadership. All right, I've had many yeses, so that's wonderful. According to some people, leaders are born. And according to some, there is no such thing as a born leader. Leaders are made. So, what is it? Are leaders born or are leaders made? They can be made to right people. Combination of both. That's wonderful. There are some inherent skills, yes. Some are innately always ready to come up. And of course, this is also very true that in our society, ambition is considered a sin. And anybody who tries to come too forward is thought too forthright. And there are various ways in which you are not made to feel good about it. So there is a combination of circumstances make a leader. Okay, that one is a good one. There is some issue in my sharing of my video. Just give me a second while I just come back to you. Please do not leave me just for a second. उसमें क्या प्रॉब्लम आ रही है? क्यों रीजन क्या? मेरी मेल इस पे कौन? मेरी मेल इस पे कौन? क्यों इसने भी तो मेल खोली थी मेरी? समझ में क्यों नहीं हो रहा?
Dua tu je.
Dear participants, kindly bear with us. Some technical glitches are there. Our technical team is being engaged in showing the PPT of Dr. Magalaji. Please wait for 5 seconds.
Hello. Hello, Nino.
Yes, ma'am. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, हाँ जी मैम.
Hello.
Hello.
हेलो मैम आवाज आ रही है थोड़ी
Hello. Am I audible to you?
Hello, Nino.
Hi, yes, ma'am. Hello.
and quality education is the essence of the higher education, the entire education scheme. That is the reason I felt the quality aspect has been emphasized in this scheme. Autonomy is being given the institutions and flexibility to the students is the major part. जी आवाज नहीं आ रही बिल्कुल भी मैंने आवाज बिल्कुल नहीं क्लियर हैगी
Hello,
Hello,
sir.
sir.
Yes. Am I audible to you?
नो साउंड
Hello, Nino.
Yes, ma'am.
ना ऑडियो है ना वीडियो है, क्या प्रॉब्लम आ रही है?
It will take only 5 to 10 seconds.
Okay.
Dear participants, we feel sorry that due to some technical glitches, some delay is there for showing the PPT.
continuously one after the other and education also.
But I assure you, once the PPT will be shown to you, the session will be highly fruitful for you.
That is the reason particular policy is offering flexibility.
मैम यू माइट हैव एंटर्ड फ्रॉम टू सोर्सेज और उन दोनों का ऑडियो पास में है इट कैन बी तभी वॉइस एको करती है यू माइट बी एंटरिंग फ्रॉम मोबाइल एंड लैपटॉप
Can you all hear me? And is my screen visible? Leadership skills are some of the most in-demand soft skills. So what does it take to be a great leader in the workplace? Is the echo still there? If you will not let me know, how will I come to know? Now clear. Okay, great. Sorry for all this problem. Now coming back to where we were, leadership skills are some of the most in-demand soft skills. But what does it take to be a great leader in the workplace? Truth is, there is no manual or guide that will give you all the tricks to become a great leader. But what's for sure is that leadership involves great soft skills. There are many different leadership skills, required in the workplace, but the most in-demand ones include communication. The less you say is not what is needed. The more you speak is not what is needed. What is needed is clear, concise communication. As a leader, you need to be able to clearly and succinctly explain to your employees everything from organizational goals to specific tasks. Leaders must master all forms of communication, including one on one, departmental, and full staff conversations, as well as communication via the phone, email, and social media. The
शायद
ability to share clear
दीदी शायद इसलिए
messages
सोच रहा हूँ कि मैडम का
and
फोन
make
आया तो
complex
शायद
ideas
कॉल
easy to understand for oneself is the hallmark of a good communicator.
अच्छा
The skills related to communication include active listening and listening. You all know the difference between these two.
बस
Articulating, clarity, concision, correspondence, editing, most
दीदी शायद
important,
आपका फोन गया तो उसने ये सोचा हो कि
explaining,
शायद मुझे कॉल आई है मैडम ने बोला होगा
expression,
कि आ जाओ और एक बार है ना
facilitating
देख
group conversations, strategic thinking skills. So, all these are parts of communication which are important. But are there more? Yes. What are more? Are the
Hello.
non-verbal communication.
Hello, Manita.
Hanji ma'am.
Just a minute. There is a lot of disturbance.
Jyoti ma'am, could you look into it, please? Our head of the technology department, Mrs. Deepak Jyoti, is constantly working to ensure that there are no technical glitches. In fact, the computer staff is all the time devoted to this, but unfortunately, we cannot achieve complete silence unless you mute yourself. You must understand, you all right, host is required to mute all. We mute you and you unmute yourself. So please do not do so. It would lead to problems. Thank you so much. So kind of you for cooperating. We solicit your cooperation at all times. As you can see, the director of our organization, Professor Ratna Sharma, is all the time monitoring us. The skills needed in a great leader, to imbibe those in all of us, is what we are here to do so in this aspect of soft skills. Coming back to communication, the most essential element of leadership. In communication, we looked at listening and we looked at the other factors. What is important is non-verbal communication. In non-verbal communication, we have a few do's. That is, observe the reaction of others to your statements. Read the non-verbal signals of others. Provide clarification if they look confused, and wrap up if they've heard enough. So, once I come to know that you do not wish to hear me anymore, I will wrap up. Establish frequent eye contact with all. Focus on the conversation and wait until the person is done talking. In a group interview, we must make eye contact with all the speakers. To introduce ourselves, we must do so with a smile and a firm handshake. And sweaty hands would mean that we are nervous. So, we must keep our palms dry. We must avoid touching our hands to our face and hair. And not so only during the pandemic, but a good leader seldom touches in non-verbal communication their face and hair. Constantly touching the face, constantly touching the hair would mean that I am nervous and I'm making assurances and reassurances that all is well. The most important part of communication is to listen and not to interrupt. Also, to have an open arm policy. That is, folded arms can carry defensiveness. Modulation, pitch, tone, intonation. You have heard all of these. They are important. In non-verbal communication, each one of us must modulate our vocal tone to express excitement and to punctuate key points. We must nod to demonstrate understanding. Also, like we tell our students, please don't look at the watch time and again. That means that you are not interested. So, similar is for us. Avoid looking at the clock, avoid looking at the phone, or displaying other signs of disinterest. When you shake hands, do that firmly without excessive force. Stay calm even when you are nervous and steer clear of monotonous delivery. Everybody's time span is not more than 15 to 18 minutes. So, if you do not modulate your voice, do not change, then you can, believe me, be only speaking to yourselves. What else is there in communication? Communication means presentation. And presentation is a skill. There are various factors involved in presentation. First and foremost, do some research related to your presentation topic. You all know when we are doing a thesis or when we are doing a project, the first thing that we do is review of literature. Why do we do review of literature? What is the source? The reason being to study first, to find out that has this already been presented? So do your research carefully and then devise charts, pie charts, graphs depicting your research findings. When you know your audience, you can better tailor your presentation to their needs. If I know I'm going to be addressing students of class 12th, I would be making a presentation which would be easy for them to understand. And if I have to address postgraduate students, then my presentation would differ. So we have to tailor our communication according to our needs. We must create digital slides, most important in this e-learning, e-communicating period. And we must break up our presentation into parts of reasonable length. We must use statistics effectively to persuade the audience. Is presentation the only thing? No. Communication is delivery. Delivery is the part of presentation that the audience sees. A good delivery depends on careful preparation, and confident presentation requires a very distinctive skill set. Skills related to delivery include an attention-grabbing opening for a talk. When we have such a method, then we have captivated the audience. And that is what good leaders do. They have the charisma to be able to attract everybody. And that charisma is not something that they are born with. It is something that is cultivated. They cultivate the charisma, and that charisma is the presentation, the delivery of the presentation that is done to them. We must provide a summary of what will be covered to introduce the presentation and then provide context. Already talked about body language and eye contact to convey the energy, the enthusiasm, the confidence, the vibrance, the zest. All is conveyed not by words but by your body language. Your language is what appeals to the other person. You must pause to emphasize key points, must modulate the vocal tone for emphasis, articulate clear and smooth, inject humor, most important. Without humor, it will not be possible, and speak with enthusiasm and animation. Public speaking is not everybody's cup of tea. Rather, it is just coffee. Very few people are able to speak publicly. When everybody has tea, why do only few have coffee? It's not that you lack, it is just that there is something about public speaking that daunts us. Somebody mentioned Kapil Dev here. I would like to share an anecdote. Long back, when I was growing up, Kapil Dev belonged to Chandigarh, and he was at my aunt's neighbor's place. And the first time that I met him, we were as children awestruck by Kapil Dev till he spoke. Because in those raw, very, very early days, he could not articulate clearly. Today, when I look at Kapil Dev, he is one of the best speakers that we have. Such great oratory skills. His use of language, the way he communicates with his eyes, it is wonderful. It is an example that simple people who are blessed with skill and are open to so much of experience, so much of living outside. Outside does not mean outside globally, does not mean physically, does not mean geographically, but outside means living beyond your own self. You can do wonders. He is a wonder for us, and we all can improve public speaking skills with practice. How do we do that? By articulation. We must articulate the words very clearly. Does public speaking have to be only in English? Not at all. You can speak in any language, any of our language, but the clarity should be there. The engagement should be there. We must assess the need of the audience. What is the audience looking for? And then handle the difficult questions. We must control our performance anxiety. We must memorize and modulate our vocal tone. Body language. Communication. We started off by speaking of listening, active listening, articulation, in non-verbal communication. We talked about presentation, delivery, and public speaking. Also, body language. Can body language be learned? Yes. Practice your body language. Rehearse answers to common interview questions. Natural tendencies and habits tend to overtake us when we are nervous. So we have to learn to consciously overcome them. And it can be done. There is no such difficulty. We just need to be able to practice. Enough of non-verbal communication. Let us come back to verbal communication. What are verbal communication skills? Talking, we all talk. We don't need to know about verbal communication skills. But effective verbal communication skills include more than just talking. It encompasses both how you deliver messages and how you receive them. Communication is a soft skill, and it is one that is important to every employer in every organization. Workers, teachers, employees who can convey information clearly and effectively are highly valued by their employers, may it be any field. Verbal communication in a work setting takes place between many different individuals and groups, such as co-workers, bosses, subordinates, employees, customers, clients, teachers, students, speaker, and the audience. What is the verbal communication used by leaders? I today am attending a talk on how to develop leadership skill as a component of soft skill. So, what do I tell? What do I do? A good leader doesn't tell their subordinates what to do and expect them to listen. Instead, they employ active listening skills to understand employee needs and perspectives. Whether it is the students' needs. In today's online era of teaching, you have to understand what your student needs, not simply go and deliver your class which you have made. Rather, you need to engage in verbal negotiations to address and diffuse issues and capitalize upon opportunities to praise individual and team achievements. Verbal communication has certain do's which as leaders we have to emulate within ourselves. That is, advising others regarding an appropriate course of action. Assertiveness, conveying feedback in a constructive manner, emphasizing on the specific, changeable behavior rather than criticizing. Discipline most important, but has to be done in a direct and respectful manner, giving credit when needed to others, recognizing and countering objections, showing an interest in others, asking about it, and recognizing their feelings, speaking calmly even when you are stressed. A calm persona is what is needed. Training others to carry out a task or role. Using affirmative words even while listening, like, huh? I got you. Yeah, for sure. I understand. Okay, I see. Yes, that's wonderful. Lovely. All these affirmative sounds will go a long way to demonstrate that you are listening, you are understanding. Also, a leader would use self-disclosure to encourage sharing. These are important aspects of verbal communication. What about written? Do we, as soft skill leaders, ignore the written communication? No, not at all. Rather, we write clearly and understandably. We must articulate a written message in a clear and compelling manner. Every phrase or sentence carries significant weight, particularly because the word of the leader spreads as wildfire. So, every phrase, every sentence has to be spoken with a lot of care. We must realize that as a leader, we are examples. Leaders need to inspire their workers to go the extra mile for their organizations, their colleges, their schools. Just paying a fair or a handsome salary to employees is not enough inspiration, although that's important too. That's from me, because the salary is an important aspect, I will not deny it, but a little more. And the little more is the inspiration that the leader needs to follow. Leaders must learn what motivators work best for their employees or team members to encourage productivity and passion, the most important things needed to get any organization forward. Skills are needed for effective motivation, and they include allowing employee autonomy, asking for input, assess the interest of the staff, convince and mentor, must be open to employee concerns, yet be persuasive, providing productive and challenging work, followed by providing rewards. So it's a key, it's like a chain. First, you give them challenging work, and then the reward must recognize others. Set effective goals. Team building. Oh, that's so important. A good team is what carries every institute forward. Must thank the staff and understand that each employee is different and there are differences in employees. Motivation done. What else does a leader need to do? A leader needs to be delegating tasks. As a soft skill, we must understand that any leader who tries to take on too many tasks by themselves will struggle to get anything done. These leaders often fear that delegating tasks is a sign of weakness, when in fact it is a sign of a strong leader. So, the fact that if a leader has delegated tasks, he is weak is a myth. In fact, a strong leader will assign jobs, but a leader must identify the skills of each of the employees and assign duties to each employee based on his or her skill set. If tomorrow I have told to look after the technology department of our college, it would be an utter failure. I wouldn't know what to do. For that, we have our technical head who is doing this. Each one is to do their work. This is what we must learn. Some skills that make a good delegator include Number one, accepting feedback from employees, allotting resources for employees, assessing employee strength and weaknesses, defining expectation and evaluating the employee performance. That is how you delegate, because you are defining your expectations and mentally evaluating that what is going to be coming out of it. This also identifying measurable outcomes, matching the task to the right employee, prioritizing tasks, and setting expectations. Teamwork, time management. If the work is not done in time and yet is done beautifully, it makes no sense. Works have to be done according to the deadlines. We have to follow the deadline. Training must be given to delegate work, and we must impose trust in the employees. Positivity. A positive attitude goes a long way in an office. We should be able to laugh at ourselves when something doesn't go quite as planned. It helps create a happy, healthy work environment, even during busy, stressful periods. Being positive in a negative situation is not naive, it is leadership. Skills that we need to make for a positive atmosphere in the workplace include caring, conflict management, very important, developing rapport, diplomacy, encouraging others as well as ourselves to be empathetic, to be friendly, to help others, to have humor, to be interpersonal, to give positive reinforcement, and to respect every individual and every worker. Great leaders don't set out to be a leader. They set out to make a difference. It's never about the role. It's always about the goal, what is to be achieved and how it is to be achieved. How can each one of us build leadership skills? You do not need to supervise or be a manager to cultivate leadership skills. You can develop these skills on the job in the following ways. Take initiative. Look beyond the task in your job description. Think long term about what would be beneficial for your department and the company or the institution. Long-term goals, short-term goals. We all know this. Try to brainstorm ideas and commit to doing work that goes beyond the daily routine. Daily routine, the daily rut has to be done, but go beyond. Only then can we do so. Target specific skills. If you have a specific skill that you want to develop, whether it is creative thinking or communication, create a plan to improve your ability in this area. Make a roadmap of how you have to go ahead. This could mean anything. It could mean taking a class. There are so many online resources available, so many YouTube videos available. Nowadays, we can't say that we did not have the opportunity. Rather, we can say that We did not take advantage of the opportunities. The opportunities are immense. Finding a mentor to help, reading books, or setting a small goal that forces you to develop this skill. Talk to people, talk to your co-workers, as well as friends to help develop your plan to improve. So let us quickly do a sum up of good leadership skills. The ability to turn information into action is one of these. Project planning, active listening, the ability to assess employers' strengths and weaknesses, time management, the ability to build trust, strong communication skills, positivity, reliability, management skills, the ability to align the employees with the goal of the institution, a strong, very, very strong leadership vision, recruiting skills. We must hire and fire people on their ability to do work, persuasion skills, the ability to help employees find meaning at work, and a strong charisma. Leadership is about making others better as a result of your presence and making sure the impact lasts in your absence. Just ponder for a moment on this. Leadership as a soft skill is about making others better as a result of your presence and making sure that the impact lasts in your absence. As John Quincy Adams puts it, if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. If you are successful in inspiring your subordinates, you can easily overcome any current and future challenges easily. Accountability. When it comes to accountability, you need to follow the approach highlighted by Arnold Glasow when he says, a good leader takes little more than his share of the blame and little less than his share of the credit. The hallmark of a great leader. Make sure
I had
that
class for this third
every one of your subordinates
triple B, but none
is
of the students they
accountable
attended.
for what
I
they are
sent mail
doing.
also to them.
If they
I
do
got the
well,
doubt whether I enrolled
give them
students in that right
a
channel or not. That's
pat
why I
on the
called you.
back. But if they struggle, make them
Yeah, I think,
realize their mistake and work
yes, sir,
together
observed
to
Tejaswini and
improve.
Soumya, but they didn't attend. I sent mail also to them.
My dear participant, someone has unmuted yourself. Please. All right, thank you. Hold people accountable for their actions. This will create a sense of responsibility among the subordinates. Create a culture of accountability. It makes a good organization great and a great organization unstoppable. And that is what we are going to do. Be innovative. A leader has to be innovative. Steve Jobs, the greatest visionary of our time, answers this question this way. He says, innovation is what distinguishes between a leader and a follower. I mean, we all know what Steve Jobs did. Amazing work. In order to get ahead in today's fast-paced world, a leader must be creative and innovative at the same time. Creative thinking and constant innovation is what makes you and your team stand out from the crowd. Think out of the box, think differently, and come up with unique ideas, and then turn those ideas and goals into reality. Do not be afraid. Remember, everyone started once. We all have to start. Leaders are innovative, entrepreneurial, and future oriented. They focus on getting the job done. Be resilient. When the tough gets going, rather, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. You have heard this adage many a times, but did you know that great leaders also follow this rule? We all already are leaders in one way or the other. We have all decided to update our skills, to listen to webinars, to attend FDPs, so that we can not get rusted during this period. So, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. So, we already have the hallmarks within us. We just need to go a little more further. What are the characteristics of resilience? Essentially, an internal locus of control, strong self-esteem. We can't let people put us down. Self-efficiency. We must have personal goals. Sense of meaningfulness. We can use past successes to confront current challenges. Can view stress as a challenge, as a way to get stronger. We can and we must adapt to change and have an action-oriented approach. Have strong relationships and never be afraid to ask for help. Most of all, we must have faith. A leader must create a vision, articulate the vision, passionately own the vision, and relentlessly drive it to completion, says Jack Welch. Good leaders always have a vision and purpose. They not only visualize the future themselves, but also share their vision with their followers. Vision is the art of seeing what is invisible to others, said Jonathan Swift. Be flexible, very, very important. The days of cubicles and 9-to-5 routines are winding down. Teams are transitioning to work from remote locations on their own time on platforms that change every single day. Today you're on Zoom, you could be on G Suite, you could be on Cisco Web, you could be on YouTube. We all are brainstorming, sitting where we are. Flexibility seems like an old school idea, yet it is the key or the core principle leaders will always need. Adapting to changing technology in these pandemic times is what will keep leaders fresh and effective. Be stubborn about your goals, but flexible about your methods. Empathy. So much about empathy is what makes you a better communicator. Empathy is a leadership capability that is well worth cultivating. A soft skill that leads to hard, tangible results in every organization. It is what makes other people want to speak to you and communicate in a way that makes people feel safe to talk to you. Many would say, what does empathy have to do with being a good leader? Everything, because leadership is about having the ability to relate and connect and listen and bond with people for the purpose of inspiring and empowering their lives. So, as a soft skill, we must be empathetic, all of us. Oprah Winfrey said, leadership is about empathy. It is about having the ability to relate to and connect with people for the purpose of inspiring and empowering their lives. So, we did a quick soft skills for success today. What did we do? We talked about communication, we talked about public speaking, we talked about positive attitudes, interpersonal skills, flexibility, work ethics, professionalism, time management, stress management, conflict management. These are all the soft skills which are all combined together in the umbrella term called leadership skills that are needed. Thank you all for your patient listening. Stay safe, stay aware, stay intellectually stimulated, be empathetic, be kind. Thank you all for your being wonderful participants. If there are any queries, any questions, I am open. Please do not hesitate.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hello?
Because you manage and people.
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you. You're not audible. Could you write in the chat box, please?
Okay, ma'am.
I'm here only. You need not worry. Just let me know your query in the chat box.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, ma'am, I have a question. If you
Yeah.
are a good leader, but the followers are not as receptive, then what should
That's very interesting. Thank you. But you must understand that this whole concept today that we delivered was about each one of us having these leadership qualities. If we imbibe within us these qualities, if we are empathetic, if we delegate responsibilities, if we listen to them, if we give good verbal skills, if we delegate jobs, then I'm sure we will have followers.
sometimes I feel when we try to listen the problems of the others now,
Yes.
so sometimes they cheat us.
Cheat us in what sense?
Yeah, matlab they just lie the things which are not actually just to get the sympathy. If they know we are empathetic towards them.
Yes.
Matlab sometimes we feel ki like we trust on the people like theory Y suggests, but they just want theory X.
My
What should we do?
To be very honest, I have never encountered this, so I do not know. I have always had a lot of faith in my colleagues and co workers, and as a leader of a team. Because as a team leader, today I am a leader, tomorrow someone else is. Whatever that we are doing, I always feel that whenever there is any shortage of work or when the work is not up to the expectations is because the wrong work was given to the wrong person. So, as a leader, it is very important to assess the skill of your the person whom you're aligning this work to. Once the skill, when I have identified the skill in that person, then all that you will receive is going to be passion and productivity.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome, my dear. Anything else that anybody has, or shall I just hand over to my co-colleague, Mrs. Neenu Sharma?
Ma'am, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I just wanted to say the webinar was very nice and wonderful. Thank you so much for the session.
Thank you so much, my dear. I'm glad you liked it.
Ma'am,
One question.
Yes,
Conflict management at workplace is very difficult to manage.
At what? I'm sorry, there was a voice breakage.
Conflict management at workplace is very difficult to manage.
That is what the leadership skill is all about. The resolution of the conflict has to be managed at all cost. If we will not manage the conflict, then how are we going to do so?
Ma'am, sometimes it seems that
Yes.
sometimes it's like this. If you are quiet, then it's problem, and if you speak up, then you feel that being quiet was a better opportunity. So
Never regret having spoken. It is always better to speak up. I know people who have stayed silent all their lives. That is not what leadership is about. In leadership, you have to come out. Sometimes your ideas are accepted, sometimes they are not. But it is
Is
best not to
education
keep them to
necessary
yourself.
for leadership?
Not really. Some people have the charisma that they can carry that forward. So, education, not in the sense of formal degrees, but you must be well read and must have all these characteristics within yourself that have been mentioned. Some of the great leaders were not educated as in the sense of degrees, but they were well aware of the situation, they had rehearsed the problem, and then got forward. So it is not about degrees, it is about your influence, about how passionately you feel about the idea that you have. You have Nelson Mandela, who spent all his life in prison, and yet that man has changed the way people look at life today. So you must be very clear about your goals. So a formal degree I do not think is needed, but to be well aware, well read is what is important. Is there anybody else? All right then. Thank you all for your very patient listening.
thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you.
All
Thank you
right.
very much.
Over to Mrs. Neenu Sharma.
Thanks a lot, ma'am, for the wonderful session of today. Madam has wonderfully satisfied all the queries of the participants. It has been very rightly said that leaders become great not because of their position and power, but because of their ability to empower others. Leadership is action and not position. And yes, I must say this thing that leadership is reflected in Dr. Manita's personality. Our scheduled resource person, Mrs. Anshu Dua, refused us yesterday at an 11th hour, and that put our IQAC coordinator, Dr. Manita Kahlo, on high alerts, and she immediately took the decision to act as resource person for today's session. Thanks a lot, ma'am, for your timely cooperation. Dear participants, the feedback form link has already been posted on the YouTube as well as on the Cisco WebEx chat. Kindly fill that form, and we'll meet you again tomorrow at 11 a.m. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you,
And
ma'am. Thank
please
you.
join by 10:50. Thanks a lot. Thanks.